All right, I've got a couple of Pat Robertson clips for you, and I also have one of our first Elizabeth Hasselbeck clips since she left The View and joined Fox News. So let's save that. Let's save that for last, Lewis, and I'll run through a couple of Pat Robertson clips. Pat Robertson was asked about, he's spoken in the past about how it's not really a bad idea to pray over your clothes and even certain rings and jewelry because they could have demons attached. Someone wrote in about that to ask about how can she possibly pray over all these things that her kids have in the house, and this was Pat Robertson's answer to her.
All right, Sherry writes, I have a question on cursed or familiar objects. Your objects. I've heard of people who say get rid of any occult-like objects in your home, books, CDs, movies, clothes, etc. However, I am married with 5 children. It is hard for me to keep track of all the things going in and out of this home 24/7. And when I do hear music they shouldn't listen to, I make them turn it off. I cover my home and family in prayer every day and night. Shouldn't that cover it, or do I need to do a walkthrough and throw things away?
I think you can get overly hung up on all these things. I really do. I think you're doing the right thing. You're teaching your children about the Lord. You are asking God for his covering and protection. I think that what is important is, were these objects actually used in some kind of satanic ritual or some occult practice? And if that's the case, then there may be some demonic force that attaches to that which was used in pagan worship. But in terms of going around and say this is cursed and that cursed, you drive yourself crazy doing that. I mean, don't even think about it.
I heard a great, Derek Prince, he's a great Bible teacher, and he had some beautiful paintings in his home that he'd gotten somewhere, I think in China, and the Lord spoke to him that he had to get rid of them because they had something attached to them. So it can happen. You just have to be discerning.
I've heard of people that have headaches. They get something from overseas and they look so beautiful, and yet it's actually a deity, and a demonic force has attached itself to that. But
the Lord will speak to you if there's something.
Yeah, there's a very specific item. I know for a fact that slap chop that's advertised on infomercials, that actually does have demons attached to it, Lewis. But even still, how can you possibly write in and take the advice from Pat Robertson when it's contradictory? First, he said you should be praying over stuff. Now he's saying, it's not going to do worse than cause you some headaches. I almost get the sense that Pat Robertson's making up all of this garbage as he goes along.
Yeah, I've suspected that for a while, and I get a headache when I think about all the people who are listening to every word he says and then calling in with questions like this. It really hurts my head a lot.